You have no idea how many times I've sat down and filmed this video at this point. Actually, this is the third. First time this happened.
Oh no, I've been fucking had.
And then believe it or not, the second time it happened again.
So here we go, let's open it up.
So the third time I just abandoned Amazon altogether and ordered it direct from the source. So fairly standard unboxing experience from Tobii, nothing too fancy, no real frills. Nice little padded bit there to keep the sensor protected. Did think it was a bit strange that there was no actual sensor protection in terms of any film or anything. That seems strange, especially considering I'd seen unboxings with it on. So not sure if that is a newer thing that they're doing now or what, but yeah, so this is the little get started pack in here. There's nothing fancy, just a USB extension, the plastic bracket, a couple of mounting strips, and the 3M isopropyl alcohol wipes. The only real disappointment I would say is the mounting bracket. It's pretty bare bones. You just expected to stick it to the bottom of your monitor. It'd be nice if they had some sort of better mounting solution with proper clips and stuff. But it's, you know, that's nitpicking. It does the job just fine. And then obviously you wipe it down with the provided 3M isopropyl alcohol. But yeah, looks pretty nice, pretty sleek, and nothing too fancy. So then just to mount it, you just plonk the bracket onto the sensor like that, just using the included magnetic strips. And then you can use that plastic prong. You can either pull it or push it depending on how, if you want to orientate the sensor more up, more down. It's pretty simple. Give the area a quick wipe down and then go ahead and plonk the sensor on the bottom of the monitor just like that. You will get a few stabs at this, so don't panic if you screw it up the first time. It's really pretty simple, and the adhesive won't take immediately, so you get a few redos if you need it. Just like that. There was a little bit of a lip here you can see with my tracker to the monitor. It is an ultra-wide curve, so not exactly shocking, I guess. And then into the calibration. So what you got to do here is line these 3 dotted lines up with the lines on the sensor itself. And then once you do that, you just go into the calibration just like this. And you're basically just showing your eyes, showing what you need to do. And then you play this little mini game here where you basically look at the dots, the dot explodes just like so. And then you just do that a handful of times and it calibrates it. Honestly, it's kind of like when you set VR up for the first time. It's pretty simple, but yeah, just eyeball the dots, boom, boom, boom. And that is that. That is the whole calibration process. So pretty simple. Let's go play some games. So here we are at my home airport of Indianapolis. We're in an EasyJet A320neo. Don't know how we've ended up in an EasyJet all the way out here in the US, but we'll roll with it. And let's jump in then, shall we? Because I think this is going to be pretty interesting. So this is default Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is no head movement, nothing's moving around. Obviously, as you can see, I can turn around and stuff with the mouse button, but that's fine. So the first time I ever I didn't record it, but the first time I ever messed around with Microsoft Flight Simulator with the head tracking, I had some serious issues where the whole thing was like super jittery and buggy, and no matter what settings I dialed in, it was just crap. So in my Googling to figure out what the heck was going on, I stumbled across this guy's YouTube called Jonathan Beckett. Now, I cannot recommend his video enough because I slammed his settings into the sim and it just made it perfect. So let's go ahead and switch it on. You can see it shot me backwards, so I'm just going to adjust the seating position here with this Shift and W key. So this is me now sitting a bit further forward with the head tracking on. Your settings will probably vary depending on personal preference. At the minute I have eye tracking off but head tracking on. So as you can see, I'm moving my eyes, nothing. When I move my head, I can move around completely. So I can change these in the Tobii app here. So the minute I have my eye tracking versus head tracking ratio on 100%, which means it's fully head. If I want, I can go fully eye, right? So now, if I close my eyes, it's not going to work. Now I can basically just move. Oh, it's still not working. Basically, how I think you probably want this is way more biased to the head, right? So if you have it on like 80, 90%, this is now with the head. And now eyes like a very, very, very small amount. Personally, I don't really like the eye movement. I think it screws it up, so I'm going to leave that on 100. I haven't really played with this too much to get it like fully dialed in, but like you can turn the sensitivity down to pitch in yours, so obviously like doing this kind of thing just isn't as sensitive as well if you crank it up. Like, all this is way more responsive. Kind of. Either way, I had that down a little bit, and that is kind of how I liked it. So, these are my settings. I recommend playing around with them, getting it dialed into how you like it before you jump into the sim. So, let's do a bit of a flight here. So let's take off. Like I said, we're here at Indianapolis. There we go. Let's throttle up the engines and shoot it down the runway here. We'll get this thing up in the air. No idea what V1 speed is, but we'll roll with it. And we're up. Probably overspeed. Oh, landing gear not down. Don't freak. There we go. Now it's happy. Go flaps up to 0, I guess. There we go. And then here we are. So I'm going to move my head forward a little bit more. So like I said, I think it's super important to play around with this and get it really dialed into what works for you. So just for reference here, I'm on an ultra-wide monitor, as you can kind of see by the aspect ratio here on the screen. It's a 32-inch ultra-wide. And I basically currently have it set so when I look at my left bezel, you can see I'm basically looking out of the left-hand window. That way I'm looking at the bezel, or right now I'm looking at the screen. It's really, it also screws you up when you put your bloody hand in front of it, but you get the idea. Like, this is looking at the bezel, which is almost too far. So when you're looking at the left-hand side of the screen, you're looking at the left-hand windows. That's kind of how I have it set now. When you look to the right, you can see my co-pilot there, and you can also see the entire left-hand or right-hand side of the screen. So I think it works pretty well. I don't think the like zoomness works as well. So like we can go here, you can kind of look out the front window. You can really stick your head through it if you want. Apparently that's a thing. And but you know, when you sit back in your seat, you're kind of back to reset. You know, it's really bizarre how I get the same sense from this than I do like VR. VR gives me like real bad motion sickness for some reason. It really annoys me because I love the idea of VR, but every single one I've tried, I get mad motion sickness. So maybe I need to go and invest in one of those super expensive ones. But can I see the airport yet? Let's get a little bit less banking. There you go. You can see the airport out of the back window there. That's pretty cool. Indianapolis International, the greatest airport in the world. Okay, so welcome back. This time we are at Milford Sound in New Zealand. I think this is one of the prettiest spots in the game, so I figured we'd have a go. Taking off here, we're in the F-18 Hornet, and we're trying a slightly different variation here of the tracking solution. So this is Opentrack. The compatibility with head tracking with Tobii inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator is still a little bit iffy. So a lot of people still opt for Opentrack, and that is what we are using right here. I think for me this is definitely the preferred solution. It's a little bit, it takes more to dial it in. It's not as natural, but it's probably a little bit more reliable. I should probably pull up here, huh? Man, this is wild. Look at this. Let's go over the top of these mountains here. Oh boy, he's about to pass out. You can hear him going for it. I mean, just look at this. It's unbelievable. Like, imagine showing this to someone, I don't even know, like, even 15 years ago, and say, hey, this is what we're going to be playing in 10, 15 years' time. They would think you're crazy. So I definitely haven't got my Opentrack settings quite as dialed in yet, and I'll show you about that here in a second. I just want to keep flying this low pass. It's just phenomenal. It's so cool. Which way do we go? Left or right? Let's go left. Oh boy, I'm getting a fuel low warning. I never fly this plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so it's probably on me. I probably did something I shouldn't have done. And you can even, like, it even works outside of the plane. If you want to maybe use it to get some fancy-ass cinematic shots, you definitely can. I love that sonic boom sound effect that you get. So cool. Oh, I'm out of gas. Oh boy. Man, should we do like a Dunkirk style landing and try and land it on the beach? That'd be kind of sick. Okay, so here we are this time on... I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, that is a super low pass. Alright, Air France. Okay, on the Island St. Martin, in a helicopter this time, because I think this is the best thing to explain what I'm going to talk about here, but let's just take off, let's get in the air. I figured this would be a place for a helicopter because I don't need to show off my landing skills here. It is also just a super pretty place to show off. Let's take off and let's just get out of the runway's way, I suppose. Okay, so I figured this is the, like I said, the place to show you how this works. So, what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the Opentrack software. So this is essentially how we modify whatever's going to go on in game. So it's pretty simple. At the minute, I just have the output as free track, the input as Tobii Eye Tracker. I don't know if these are the right settings, but this has worked for me so far. And this is where the magic happens. So here you can change the mapping properties. So essentially, with how you do this is how much your head's going to move in a correlation to how much you want it to move, right? So we're in yaw here, so we can see a live readout is this dot. That's exactly what the game sees, with obviously that being your 0 point. So if you want to have a real long head movement, you can basically come down a lot with this, and then you moving it in yaw moves it virtually none, right? Or you can move it up a boatload, and you can already see there with me adjusting the filter. The amount you move your head is the amount it's going to adjust. So it's kind of up to you really to find what your happy medium is here. You can add as many lines into this curve as you want. You can make it look as fancy or as non-fancy as you can, which I think is good because you want to get to a certain point, right, and you just want to swing your head all the way around. Let's say you're trying to look behind you or something, right? And you can always have it as sensitive or as not sensitive as you want. It just makes sense. You can go into pitch, you can do the exact same with pitch. You can see I already kind of have my curve somewhat how I want it. And you can do the same with roll. Again, I kind of tend to leave this default because I think it just works well. Yeah. Okay, here we are inside of iRacing. Now this is where maybe this isn't going to be the best example of it, but I just wanted to show it off because I was intrigued by it, and I figured some other people might be as well. The big fatal flaw of the Tobii with this is that where the sensor is positioned has to be at the bottom of the monitor. So if you have a wheel in front of you, you're turning, you're going to block the sensor. It doesn't really work. So it also doesn't have native Tobii support. You have to use Opentrack again. So we're going to have to play with the settings around a little bit, but what we'll do here is we'll have a little bit of a quick look. So first and foremost, I can already tell you that in theory, Tobii is a great tool for sim racing. I think, unfortunately, in this particular instance, it probably isn't going to be the best. I think VR is where you want to be if you're going to be looking to do this, but kind of is what it is. So pitch we want to have right down as well. We basically want them as low, maybe as you can get them. I don't know. This is the first time I've tried racing with it, so we need to, oh boy. See, now I'm facing the wrong way, and the normal VR recenter didn't work. So let's Let's spin him around like this, and we'll have a go here. I'm also well aware that I'm probably driving one of the hardest cars at the moment on iRacing with a keyboard and mouse. Oh boy. So here you go, here's some gameplay for you. As you can see, it just isn't really set up for it. Like, you clip into the, in this case, the headrest. Oh boy. And also, just driving a GTP at the moment on iRacing is hard when you have a good setup, not even when you're using a keyboard and mouse. Unfortunately, my main rig is currently dismantled, and as you can see, this is the resulting setup, was keyboard and mouse. Doesn't really work. Now, see, F1 actually has a mode for it. So this is going to be interesting. So this is just the default settings. With a controller. Definitely does something. Oh boy, I haven't played this game on a controller, I think, ever. Oh, well deep. Well deep. It's interesting because you can tell it kind of wants to look for the apex, but maybe just needs to be a little bit more. Let's just crank it and see what it does. Okay. This surprisingly actually makes a way bigger difference than I thought it would. Like, I can check mirrors and then it snaps back. Oh, a bit wide. It's definitely not as sensitive. They've thought about it. Like, it's nowhere near as sensitive in the up and down axis than it is the left to right. But wow. Like, the head tracking still does something, but it's like, for me at least, it's all eyes right now. Like, I'm not moving the head. Everything is in the eyes. And I'm actually really... Oh, that freaked out a bit there. I'm actually dead impressed by this. I didn't hold out much hope, but I am surprised. It isn't perfect, but it's way better than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know how that makes me feel, because EA have done like a reasonably good job of implementing something. Consider me shook. I just like that. Like, you can check your mirrors, and then it wants to look towards the apex, and it's definitely doing something, but it's not doing like a lot, you know. Doesn't make a difference up and down, but yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. Good job, EA. So here we are inside of Star Citizen, which I actually think has probably got the best example of FOIP and head tracking, basically, that I know of currently in gaming. So like, all of these settings are for head tracking with the Tobii, and then I think you have a few, you have a few random ones down here, but for the most part, all of this is Tobii. So this is probably the best supported like in-game thing that Tobii probably has right now, which is why I think they use it in a lot of their marketing and stuff. So you can kind of understand it. So you can dial in these settings really however you want. I think this is the kind of game you need to spend a lot of time going through and figuring out exactly how you want Tobii to perform, particularly here where it can have such a big advantage to you inside of the game. So here, when you're outside of a ship, and you're kind of just doing whatever, you can have it turned off. That's how I personally have it currently, is that when I'm not inside a ship, when I'm not doing stuff, this is how I'm going to play the game. I'm just going to not use the head tracking. I think it's useful for FPS. I think it's not as useful when you're just running around trying to do delivery missions and stuff like that. And here we are inside of the Avenger. So here you can see the head tracking just enabled itself, completely native with inside of the game. That is pretty friggin' special, in my opinion. So let's take off. Let's go for a bit of a fly around and really get a feel for the Tobii inside of Star Citizen, which is really where I think this shines. I can actually just look up. I can look up and see my hanging opening. It's no more guesswork. And there we go. Look at that. Unbelievable. So cool. Again, I've got the same kind of support for moving around than I do in all the others. I can turn fully around if I want. Not that I can see the monitor when I turn fully around. Oh boy, I wasn't paying attention. Let's get out of here. I mean, look at that. It's just cool. It's just handy, you know, more than anything. You can just fly, hang out. Oh, so you want to look at something to the left? Boom. Something to the right? Boom. So here are some of the general settings that I have currently got configured for Star Citizen. So like I said, disable while seated is currently off. While interaction mode is on, that means when you're like using a terminal or something like that, if you were up and about. It's currently off for disable during FPS, but it's on during aim down sights. So, or disable is on during aim down sights. Disable during mobiGlass, all that kind of stuff, right? So you can even really do like things like this, right? You can have it on, you can have it set to its disable during interaction mode, which I think makes a lot of sense. You can have it, you can enable roll during FPS, you can do all that kind of stuff, and you can really just do it however you want. You can configure dead zones, you can configure input scaling, all these different options, and there are so many, and I will at some point have to dive through here and figure out what are the perfect areas to have for what. So let's, for example, let's play with the head sensitivity for pitch and yaw. So let's just turn them down a little bit to 1. Let's half them. And we can see here how much of a difference that makes. There you go. Now when I look to the left and I look to the right, I'm only looking to the left and the right of the ship. I'm not looking to the left and going all the way around because it just doesn't really work for that. I think this is somewhere in between where I want it and where I don't want it. So let's go back in. We can go back to the settings menu down. Where was I? Here. And I think maybe like 1.5 here could be about the sweet spot. Probably about right. Now your mileage might vary. My settings aren't necessarily your settings. I don't do a lot of like dogfighting and stuff like that. So really my settings might not necessarily work for you, but wow, look at that. This game distracts me like no other. It's crazy. Just looks, I mean, look at those clouds. It's better than the friggin' flight sim. Yeah, what was I saying? I don't do a whole lot of dogfighting and stuff like that, so realistically for me, probably doesn't make a lot of sense to configure my settings for dogfighting. That being said, if I do get into dogfighting more in the future, then obviously then I can configure it then and there. From what I would like to see in the game is maybe some profiling. So I can hit a hotkey to say I want my B profile, which is my dogfighting profile. So I can stick to these settings. Oh boy, that freaked out. I can stick to these settings, and then as soon as I want to switch to dogfighting mode, I can then hit my hotkey, and then it configures my view a little bit differently, and all that kind of stuff. So here we can see we have some contacts enabled, so maybe we can do something here? I don't know. Oh, it's just a whittle cutter. Now, I don't know if this is another player or not, so maybe I just don't want to randomly shoot at them. Yeah, I don't want to just go shooting down random players that are just trying to enjoy their day. So let's go down to the surface and just do what I was initially gonna do. Man, this guy's like chasing. Oh, he shot a missile. Okay, I guess we're fighting now. Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Now I need to remember how to fight. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh, don't black out. That's going to be real bad for us if you black out. There we go. Now I'm targeting. There we go. That's what I wanted. This is not going well for me. Uh-oh. I guess we're ejecting. Oh man, we're like getting out the back. Okay. I thought I hit... Oh, I think we're just getting a Star Citizen bug here. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. It's been fun. Star Citizen is such a janky game, dude. Like, how on earth have I just survived that? I'm also stranded on ArcCorp now in minus 72 degrees Celsius. My head tracking's working though, so that's kind of cool. We can just walk around. I don't think I have a gun on me, do I? Oh, I do. Here you go. So here's a good example of maybe some of the FPS combat in Star Citizen. So the minute I'm on, I can look around. But I zoom in, disabled. Which is, for me, exactly how I would want it. I can look over, I can look around, I can look around. Someone, oh, I spotted someone. Okay, boom. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Spotted someone, zoom. Like, I think this is where this is going to work really well, like, for FPS combat. Gonna walk around, gonna walk around. Now, granted, a lot of the time, like, you're not going to be doing big movements. You can do small little swings. Check your corners, check your corners. And really, you're still going to be controlling it with your mouse. It's just looking in your peripheral vision. And now I'm about to die because of the cold, so. I love this game. I have such a love-hate relationship with this game, it's crazy. It's just cool. Like, there's my wreckage over there, and I'm just hanging out. Look how much he's shaking, dude. I actually don't know what it takes to die of the cold in Star Citizen. You can't even see the tractor beam. Okay, interesting. It still works for tracking here. So I'm terrible at it, but I figured we'd try the racing, just out of sheer curiosity. Somehow here I'm in the Gladius, and we'll just see if it makes any difference whatsoever, like looking up at the next waypoint and then obviously like here we're gonna have to go like this. I mean, yeah, I can see the advantage already. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Just a 5-second penalty for dying. It was kind of nice of him. But we'll go like this. I mean, you do have to force it a little bit. I imagine with a lot of practice, this would become pretty intuitive. But yeah, I can see why this would work for racing, particularly on Star Citizen. You really got to turn off the collision alerts for racing, man. That's really not useful at all. Where am I going? Over here. There we go. Which way am I going now? Down here. And over here. Actually, this is kind of surprisingly, even already. Oh boy. Oh boy. Not ideal. Oh man, I flew that somehow. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, I mean it works pretty well for the racing actually. I'm pleasantly surprised. Even though the Gladius definitely isn't a racing ship. But yeah, racing, I can see it. I can see it. Alright, let's try it out with this one. This could be a little bit better. No, that's a friendly. There we go. Missile gone. Oh boy. Man, you can tell I do not dogfight often on Star Citizen. Oh man, and how did that still not get him? Oh man, I did the scanning thing by accident. Come on. Man, it is hard to like figure out what's going on here. Oh boy, this ship isn't great for looking directly up. I don't like the gun on this thing. Alright, let's try with the missile again. Oh, got him. Not the greatest of impacts though. Oh boy. I'm just getting abused. Oh, nice. That was a good hit. It was a satisfying hit. Oh, did we get him? We got him. Nice. What's going on over there? Where's my next target? Okay. Let's see if that does anything. Oh, beauty. Alright, who's next? I'm getting the hang of it, slowly. I really don't dogfight often. Where is everyone? Okay, up there. Gotcha. Come on. Come on. There's one. Good contact. Second one should finish him off.
Missile blocked.
Oh boy.
Warning. There are multiple missiles.
Okay. I think that pretty much answers the question that yes, you can dogfight with it, but no, I'm still not very good with it. So is this peripheral right for you? I think it's really going to depend on a use case, obviously, first and foremost. If you're a big sim racer, probably isn't going to be what you're looking for. If you're looking for it to maybe replace VR, again, probably not what you're looking for. Are you a big flight enthusiast that necessarily doesn't want to take the step to VR for whatever reason? I think that's really where this is going to come into its own. It's going to be for the Microsoft Flight Simulator player, for the Star Citizen player, the Elite Dangerous player, whatever, right? The DCS player. That's where all these are going to come really into their own, not necessarily for the hardcore racer. They were really the two questions I wanted to answer. Is it going to be right for me from a racing standpoint, because I do a lot of sim racing, and is it going to be right for you from the standpoint of going out and just hopping in a flight simulator and just using it to enhance the experience, that's where this really comes into its own. So I think it's a great bit of hardware. I'm looking forward to using it more and more and more, and I'm sure at some point, while I'm way more experienced and know what I'm doing with it, I'll be able to do another video kind of looking back and resetting my opinion a little bit, and obviously going into where it can improve with settings and stuff like that. But for now, it's cool. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing with it more. So yeah, I think that pretty much answers that question. Hopefully this has been somewhat informative. Hopefully you've learned something. I know I have. Yeah, appreciate you checking the video out. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, maybe drop a like, maybe subscribe. Entirely up to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.